Guys, if you like Trump, this election should speak to you. Benny just said it to you. So here's what will happen. Let me put let me make this crystal clear. We don't win today. They will redraw the maps. We will likely lose the House. And on day one of 2027, they will impeach President Trump, and you are going to see the impeachment circus that started in 2019 rev up again. You are going to see our ability to have a good budget. All of those cuts that you like to see from DOGE, etc., all those cuts are going to be reinstated. You're going to see funding of Ukraine. You're going to see funding of our enemies that despise everything of what it means to be an American citizen. You're not going to see money to secure the border. You're not going to see money for border patrol or border security. All of your dreams and hopes and visions, everything that we worked tirelessly to achieve on November 5th, 2024 is gone. You lose this election, we likely lose the House. They're going to impeach the president, or at least try to, and he will be a lame duck president. President Trump deserves to have all 4 years. And that's why, Benny, I dropped everything. I should be in Pennsylvania. I should be in New Jersey right now, but no, I'm in Wisconsin because this is the single most important election this year. Wartime Scott is telling you you must come out and vote for Brad Schimmel today.
Liberal Tesla lover here. My sister has two in her family, so have not thrown any Molotov cocktails recently. But I wanted to talk to you about what DOGE has been doing. So you've been making cuts to a lot of the agencies that have open investigations and regulatory battles with your companies. At the same time, you continue to get billions in government contracts. Tesla gets billions in subsidies. How do you explain that to the American people?
Well, everything that DOGE does is an open book. So I think the most transparent the most transparent organization in government ever. Every single DOGE action is listed on the doge.gov website. It's also listed on the X handle. So if anyone has a concern about any one of those actions, they can bring that up. They can raise that. And I do want to say, like, sometimes we make a mistake. Nobody bats 1,000. We will at times make a mistake, and we'll act very quickly to correct it. I am under such an extreme spotlight, so much scrutiny, that it's literally impossible for me to get away with anything nefarious. And obviously, nor do I wish to. So this is a case where we have radical transparency. We're actually willing to admit that we do make mistakes. Often people are not willing to admit they make mistakes, but we are. But we want to emphasize we fix them quickly, and we're trying to do the right thing for the American taxpayer, for the American people. And I think history will be the judge that what we've done here and what we're doing is a very good thing for the strength and future of America.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Now, let's take a closer look here and dive deeper into Jessica Tarlov's question of Elon Musk, and then get back to what Scott Presler and Benny Johnson discussed regarding the Wisconsin election and President Trump's lame duck impeachment, potentially if we lose the House. But first, just think about it like this. Elon Musk heading up Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and being put under a liberal media microscope. Has a clear past and documented proof and paper trail of his contracts, business dealings, and most importantly, his wealth. But yet people like Tarlov insist he has nefarious intentions within the department solely focused on government efficiency. Now, on the other hand, where's the questioning and interrogations of Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Chuck Schumer, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Elizabeth Warren, Hakeem Jeffries, Maxine Waters, and the like, and their enormous windfall into wealth on extremely modest government salaries? To unpack this, let's start with Jessica Tarlov's scrutiny of Elon Musk. Tarlov, a known Democratic strategist and Fox News contributor, has repeatedly questioned Elon Musk's role in the Department of Government Efficiency, often framing his involvement as a potential conflict of interest or a power grab. She's not alone. Many in liberal media circles have zeroed in on Musk's influence, especially given his close ties to President Trump and his push to slash federal spending. Elon Musk's wealth, built through Tesla, SpaceX, PayPal, and other ventures, is well documented. Forbes pegs his net worth at over $250 billion as of early 2025. tied to stock valuations and government contracts that are publicly disclosed. I think it's actually a lot higher now. His business dealings, while complex, are traceable through SEC filings and corporate records. Part of the reason why he had to buy Twitter after submitting an offer. The argument from Tarlov and others seems to hinge on skepticism about his motives. Why would a billionaire take on a government role unless there's something to gain? Yet, Elon Musk has consistently said that DOGE's mission is about cutting waste, not personal enrichment, and there's no concrete evidence to date suggesting otherwise. Now, flip the coin. You've got figures like Nancy Pelosi, whose net worth is estimated at $250 million, $250 million, despite a congressional salary of $174K a year. Her wealth, often attributed to savvy real estate investments in her husband's business ventures, has long raised eyebrows, especially since congressional insider trading rules are notoriously lax. Barack Obama's post-presidency wealth, now in the tens of millions of dollars, comes from book deals and speaking gigs, but the speed of that accumulation still fuels speculation. Chuck Schumer, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Elizabeth Warren, Hakeem Jeffries, and Maxine Waters have varying levels of wealth, some modest, others less so, but the broader point stands. Politicians often leave office far richer than when they entered, and their financial trails are murkier than Elon Musk's. Public records show congressional salaries haven't budged much in decades, yet some lawmakers' lifestyles suggest income streams that aren't fully transparent. Post on X even claimed DOGE is now targeting this, with Elon Musk vowing to investigate potential misuse of funds like USAID grants funneled through NGOs. So why the disparity in scrutiny? Elon Musk's high profile and President Trump's alliance make him an easy target, while career politicians often get a pass under the guise of that's just how it works. Jessica Tarlov's focus on Elon Musk could be seen as deflecting from her own party's vulnerabilities, and after all, many of the names listed lean Democratic. You have to view Jessica Tarlov as the inverse opposite of Scott Jennings on CNN. However, Scott Jennings has a future. Jessica Tarlov. Meanwhile, Scott Pressler and Benny Johnson, vocal Trump supporters, have been dissecting the Wisconsin election fallout and floating a lame duck impeachment scenario if the House flips. They argue President Trump's team, including Elon Musk, is bracing for a Democratic counterpunch post-midterms. That's a tangent worth exploring, and we will, but the core hypocrisy here is striking. Elon Musk basics aside, the liberal elite's wealth gets a free ride while DOGE's mission rattles their cage. Yeah, indeed.
What was a surprise, though, was hearing Elon Musk, who's in Wisconsin because he's trying to buy an election there for a Supreme Court seat. And he's saying, you know, we're the Soros operatives, but we're basically at Musk operative level. So he's the biggest donor by far and away, nearly $20 million given. And there's a chart that you can all Google and pull up, and it shows the other people who've donated, the Democrats down there at the bottom of it with, you know, a couple $1 million that they've thrown in there versus Musk.
And as far as donations go and Elon Musk's involvement, Jessica Tarlov claims that Elon Musk is trying to buy an election in Wisconsin, exaggerating his actions by implying that singular control while overlooking similar Democratic efforts. Elon Musk has indeed invested heavily in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, and thank you for that, with groups linked to him spending over $20 million to support conservative candidate Brad Skimmel, including $3 million to the Wisconsin Republican Party in controversial $1 million voter giveaways. However, we're going to talk more about those giveaways. Democrats have also poured significant funds into backing liberal candidate Susan Crawford with over $31 million in ad spending, fueled by donors like George Soros, dropping $2 million to the state Democratic Party, J.B. Pritzker, $1.5 million. Both sides are definitely flexing financial muscle in a record-breaking $80 million race, not just Elon Musk. Jessica Tarlov's framing singles him out, obviously, intentionally, and ignores the broader context of bipartisan big spending.
And what he's not telling people is that he's in the process of suing to overturn a Wisconsin law that prevents Tesla from operating and owning dealerships there in Wisconsin. They only allow third parties to be the ones that are operating them, not the auto manufacturers themselves. So it's about his own interest, which is the same thing as getting more of these government contracts.
Jessica. Again, Jessica Tarlov highlights Tesla's lawsuit against Wisconsin's law banning manufacturers from selling directly to consumers, framing it as Elon Musk and Tesla being disruptive or shady. This exaggerates the issue by casting a routine business challenge as villainy, while ignoring the law's outdated roots. Wisconsin's rule, like many states, stems from old dealership protections, not modern market needs, forcing Tesla, which doesn't use third-party dealers, to either set up a separate retail entity, a costly workaround, or fight legally, which they're doing. And Tesla's suing to sell directly as it does elsewhere isn't bad. It's a push for fairness in a system that favors traditional automakers. Jessica Tarlov skips this context, cherry-picking to fit her narratives. And it's almost like, what'd that one guy, Ellie, say with the big white puffy afro about old white laws?
My premises for the book is that every law passed before the 1965 Voting Rights Act should be presumptively unconstitutional, right? But because before the 1965 Voting Rights Act, we were functionally an apartheid country. Yeah. Not everybody who lived here could vote here. Yeah. So why should I give about some law that some old white man passed in the 1920s, like the Immigration and Nationality Act, when they passed?
And I'm going to put this one on the screen so you guys can read along with me. No shame in my game. I do use Grok to help me fact check and be the internet historian, at least the best that I could possibly be, to bring you guys the truth, the facts, and the information. And what's coming up next from Jessica Tarlov is really going to make a whole lot of sense when I share this with you, okay? First and foremost, there's no widely reported or verified instance of an ice cream giveaway tied to Susan Crawford's 2025 Wisconsin Supreme Court campaign that's been labeled as election bribery in any credible sources. Jessica Tarlov might be referencing a hypothetical or unverified claim, possibly conflating it with other election-related controversies, like Elon Musk's $1 million voter giveaway supporting Brad Skimmel, Crawford's opponent. Elon Musk's actions offering cash to petition signers and voters sparked legal scrutiny, with Wisconsin AG Josh Kaul suing to block them under the state's election bribery law, which forbids offering anything of value to induce voting. No similar high-profile incident involving ice cream or Crawford has surfaced, and if Tarlov meant a specific event, it's likely an exaggeration or a misstatement, as Crawford's campaign has focused on traditional fundraising, amassing $24 million, not gimmicky giveaways. Without more context, though, it seems like a narrative twist lacking substance, obviously for their agenda, for the propaganda, for the rhetoric push, okay? To create this fake narrative and execute on exactly why the Smith-Mundt Act doesn't exist anymore, and they are taking advantage of that every single day. However, Elon Musk faced this same challenge with the presidential election, and obviously we know where that ended up, a big nothing burger. It was just an attempt by the left to interrupt and distract from what's most important here, let alone, if this were even true, the ice cream giveaway, if to incentivize voting for a specific candidate, would be bribery. Elon Musk providing an opportunity to win randomly just for registering to vote seems like a stark contrast and a difference there that should probably be discussed, but I don't expect Jessica Tarlov to go down that route.
And everything that he's accusing the other side of doing, he's actually doing himself. And we're going in circles about this. The Republican National Committee, blind eye again to what Musk is doing. They were threatening to sue over a group that is handing out ice cream cones to college kids in support of Susan Crawford, who's the Democratic candidate. They said that was quote unquote election bribery, but Elon Musk handing over literal checks for $1 million is no big deal.
Oh, okay.
Citizens United, where are you?
I don't care.
And maybe this is a reasonable question to ask and present to Miss Jessica Tarlov, as your sister has 2 Teslas in her family. Perhaps maybe take the time, spend the time, instead of interrogating Elon Musk on playing the bad cop in this good cop, bad cop scenario here. And instead, why don't you help him? Why don't you instead of trying to create this division and a cloud of uncertainty and doubt around and over him and what the Department of Government Efficiency and President Trump are trying to do, why don't you actually try to help him? Why don't you phrase the questions without furrowing your brow and being so democratically liberal in a way that doesn't come off standoffish or negative with your fear-mongering attempts, and just literally alley-oop the questions that would allow Elon Musk to let his guard down a little bit and provide America with answers to the questions that they probably really want that you're not giving them. Or at the very least, encourage people not to go out and vandalize and engage in acts of domestic terrorism, as your sister and her family could potentially be victims because you're sitting by idly, twiddling your thumbs, sitting on your hands, trying to make Elon Musk out to be the bad guy here, not realizing that you are actually, by not helping, making the problem even worse. And I don't wish ill will or harm against anyone, but if your sister and her family become victims of a crime solely for the fact that they own Teslas, that blood's on your hands.